Did you know there are over 2.5 million investors in the UK looking at property? Getting into property can really give you great returns, and maybe now you are looking at how you can get started into property development. In this video, I will be sharing with you different ways of how you can get started into property development, and by the end of the video you will have a clear frame mind of what it is you need to do or how you can get started. So stay tuned. Hello everyone, if you're new here, my name is Abbas Pardhan. I'm a property investor and I'm an owner of an estate agency called 10x Rising. On this channel, I shall be sharing with you the insight of what we go through on a day-to-day basis that may help you on your property journey. So if you enjoy the content, please smash the like button, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you do not miss the next videos. Yes, property development can become very lucrative if you do it right. Generally, the whole concept of property development is that it costs you less to build than how much the value of the property will be. Common sense. So if you're in an area where the value of each property per square meter is say £2,500, but it's costing you £1,500 per square meter to build. So yeah, you're in good profit. You're making £1,000 per square meter. This is just an example to give you that in property development, that's essentially what you are looking to do. Spend less than what you will earn when you're exiting. Simple as. Now there are 4 different ways of how you can get into property development. If you're still new into property development, haven't done any before, the best thing that you can get started doing is buying rundown houses or apartment blocks that you can refurbish and then either sell or refinance. When it comes to property refurbishment like this, it's not going to be very difficult or very intensive like property development from ground up will be. When it comes to refurbishment, essentially, the structure is already in place. The shell is built. And what you are doing now is internally perhaps ripping out the kitchen so you can put a brand new one in, ripping out the bathroom, the lights, the living, etc. Everything. Ripping it all out so you can put in brand new ones. Let's say the property value in the area is $475,000, very high-end area. At the moment, that's what you pay for it. But you know, properties in that neighborhood generally sell for $800,000 to £1 million. So you know there's a big profit in that gap. If you do it right, there'll be a person paying you that price. Now you should remember there's generally a ceiling to the price you can achieve, especially if the person is going to be using lending. So don't think that perhaps if you put in the best kitchen unit, you will be crossing the ceiling significantly. Not really. There's a ceiling to every market. So you want to be factoring all these things in. Now when it comes to refurbishment, perhaps you're already into the letting business and you already understand how lettings work and you've managed properties before. So that means you probably already have a team around you. You already have an electrician, a plumber, a plasterer, gas engineer, all these people. Essentially, when it comes to refurbishment, you need these people around you. So you can go through 2 options. Firstly, find a company that you can give over the whole project to and expect a turnkey finish back. That's where you negotiate the price, how long it will take for them to turn around this project, and then you have a contract in place. Now, they will keep a big profit for themselves because they're going to be managing the whole project. However, if you decide to manage it yourself, because you already have a team around you, you have your gasman, your electrician, your plumber, your plasterer, etc., etc., just project manage it yourself. You will save a lot more and make more profit. That's of course if you have the time for it. If you don't have the time for it, hire a project manager and give them a commission and tell them to overlook your other team members. That is your gasman that you trust, your electrician that you trust and have worked with for many years. So that is the best place you can get started first before you jump onto building properties from ground up. The second thing you can do to get into property development is buying a commercial property that could qualify for permitted development and convert it to residential apartments for say. A good example would be office buildings. Any office building before 2014 would already qualify for PD, subject to getting an approval for it. So you do not have to wait and put in all the surveys and all the other kinds of documents that you need to before you get a full planning application, because you already have PD. You're not taking a risk. Now, when you're doing this, you will obviously need the property in vacant possession. Just one thing you should factor in when you're doing this: if your idea is to sell the property after, you do not want to tie yourself in if you're going to be taking a mortgage to buy the commercial unit in the first place, because the lender will tie you in for, say, 5 years or 2 years. So do not tie yourself in for long if you're looking to sell it, because they will charge you a fee to exit the loan. And likewise, when it comes to bridging loan, if you're taking a 12-month term, never exceed the 12-month term, because the interest rate them charging you will skyrocket and it will burn your fingers. So always factor that in as well when you're doing your project. The third thing you can do is acquire land, then work on getting planning permission, and then sell it to a developer. Now, you have many ways you could do this. Either you can just buy the land outright, apply for full planning, and then sell it off. But there are a couple of ways on how you can save and mitigate all the risks. Of course, planning permission can take many months or even up to a year, or sometimes even more than a year to acquire. And when you're putting in planning application, it's not even guaranteed that you will get the planning permission. So what I would do is, what you should do is, if you have a person willing to sell their land which doesn't have planning permission, negotiate a deal with them that you will pay them market value for their land subject to getting planning permission. So you can lock the deal up, lock them into an agreement that they cannot sell it to anyone else but you, subject to you getting planning permission. Now this is where you would go and spend money on planning permission. And if it comes through, then you buy the land. So at least this way you're saving money, because what if you buy the land and you don't get planning? You now have a worthless piece of land, just doing nothing unless you do farming on it or something. Before you tie the vendor into a deal with yourself, do a pre-app. This is where your architect will design a scheme that he will send over to the council just to see if they will support the idea of you doing what you want to do in that project. So if it comes out a no, at least you've not wasted your time involving solicitors and trying to get this deal under contract. If it comes out as positive, again, it does not mean that you will 100% have planning permission on that project, but at least it gives you, it is worth it to then go for it and apply for planning, because at least pre-app has said yes. So that's what you should do. Do a pre-app, put the vendor under contract, apply for full planning. If it comes through, you can then flip it over to someone else, use that money to pay the vendor, and you've made a good profit for yourself. And the fourth thing that you could do is obviously buy land that has planning permission already, or you've applied for planning permission and now you try to build it up yourself. Now, when you're doing this, you may want to use construction finance. This is where the lender will give you 100% of the build cost for you to build that project. Now, before they give that money to you, of course, they will release it in phases. They will want to see who your contractor is. They want to see the track record of that contractor, because there's been so many projects that you may have heard of that contractors just take the money, run away, or take the money, do half the works, and then just dissolve the company, maybe because they couldn't complete it. As you know, the material cost is now skyrocketing up. So you want to do your due diligence on the contracting team first. Have they dissolved many companies before? How many projects have they completed? You want to see the property documents to see that they are the property developers that have actually completed this project. So you want to do all your due diligence on that company, because they play a very crucial part. They're going to be the ones building it for you. So it is very crucial you get them right. Then you may have your architect in place, your quantity surveyor in place, that's going to be managing the project for you. However, before you get all this started and you're into this game, you want to have a spreadsheet. All the numbers should work for you. Do not buy a land which has planning permission thinking that I'm going to get construction finance, I'm going to build it, and I'm going to make a good ton of money. No, that won't work like that. It's not so easy. There are a few things you need to factor in. When it comes to construction finance, the lender wants to see you make at least 25% profit so that they can lend you. They want a cushion for themselves that you will be able to pay them back. So essentially, if the build cost is 1 million, they want you to be making at least 1.25 on the GDV. So you're making a good profit for yourselves before they lend you something. And while you're doing your numbers, if that doesn't stack up, you're not getting that 25% minimum after you've also factored in your contingencies, then you understand that the price for the land is not right. So that's where you go back to the vendor and you negotiate a better price. If you're being conservative, you want a lot more than 25%, not just 25%. So I hope this gives you a good indication of what different ways there are that you can get into property development yourself. I wish you all the best of luck. If you have any questions, please put them in the comment section below. Subscribe, and I shall see you in the next video.